Tonight, there is nowhere you need to go. Nothing you need to prove. Nothing you need to finish before you rest. The day has already done what days do. It has moved forward hour by hour, moment by moment. And now, the evening has arrived. The world outside is becoming quieter. The sky has softened. The pace of the day is fading. And perhaps, for the first time in many hours, you can simply be still. There is something comforting about the night. Not because every problem disappears. Not because every question suddenly finds an answer. But because night reminds us that we were never meant to carry everything by ourselves. Long before this evening, long before this moment, God was already here, watching, guiding, holding together things we cannot see. And tonight, that has not changed. Imagine for a moment a quiet path winding through gentle hills. The sun has nearly disappeared beyond the horizon. The air is cool. The breeze is soft. And the noise of the world feels very far away. There is no rush here. No pressure. No deadlines. Only peace. The kind of peace that settles slowly, like evening light resting upon a field. Many years ago, a shepherd wrote words that have comforted countless hearts through difficult seasons. Not because life was easy, but because he discovered something powerful. He learned that peace is not found in perfect circumstances. Peace is found in God's presence. Even in uncertain places, even in difficult seasons, even during long nights. Sometimes people imagine that faith means never feeling afraid, never feeling uncertain, never feeling tired. But that has never been true. The people who wrote the Psalms understood fear. They understood waiting. They understood questions. Yet again and again, they returned to the same realization. God remained faithful. Not occasionally, not only on good days, but consistently, patiently, faithfully. Perhaps tonight, you are carrying things nobody else can see. Thoughts you have not spoken aloud. Questions you have not answered. Concerns you have quietly carried throughout the day. If so, you do not need to solve them all right now. The night is not asking you for solutions. The night is inviting you to rest. Imagine sitting beside still water. A place untouched by noise. A place where the surface remains calm, reflecting the stars above. There is something beautiful about still water. It does not struggle. It does not force. It simply rests where it is. Sometimes the soul needs that same stillness. Not constant movement. Not constant effort. Just stillness. A chance to remember that God is already working in places we cannot see. Already moving in ways we do not yet understand. Already present in tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. The future may contain things you cannot predict, but you do not have to arrive there tonight. Tonight is simply for resting, for breathing, for letting your heart grow quiet. The Psalms often speak about looking toward the hills, looking beyond immediate circumstances, remembering that help comes from God. And perhaps that reminder is needed now as much as ever, because the world often teaches people to rely entirely on themselves, to carry everything, to manage everything, to control everything. Yet human hearts were never designed to live under that weight. Some burdens belong in God's hands, not yours. Some worries do not need another hour of thinking. They need surrender, not giving up, not losing hope, simply trusting that God can carry what you cannot. As this evening continues, allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your breathing to slow. Allow the pace of your thoughts to soften. The day is ending, and you have permission to rest. Because the God who watches over the mountains, the oceans, the stars, and the endless sky also watches over you. Not from a distance, but with care, with compassion, with love. And while you rest tonight, God remains awake, faithful as always, steady as always, present as always. You do not need to hold the entire world together. You were never asked to. For now, simply rest and let your heart become still. There is a quiet kind of comfort that comes when a person realizes they do not need to know everything. Not every answer, not every outcome, not every detail of what tomorrow may bring. For much of life, we walk only a few steps at a time. And somehow, those few steps are enough. The stars do not reveal the entire night sky at once. They simply shine where they are. And often, God guides in much the same way. Not always by revealing the entire road ahead, but by providing enough light for the next step. Enough peace for today. Enough strength for today. Enough grace for today. Imagine standing on a hillside as evening settles over the land. Far below, small lights begin appearing in distant homes. One by one, the world grows quieter. The noise of the day fades into the background. And for a moment, everything feels unhurried. The Psalms often notice simple things. The sky, the stars, the fields, the rivers. Perhaps because creation has a way of reminding us that God is constantly at work. Even when nobody is watching, a tree does not rush its growth. A river does not force its journey. The dawn never arrives early, and the sunset never stays longer than it should. Everything unfolds in its season. Sometimes human hearts struggle with that truth, because we want answers now, healing now, direction now. Yet so much of life grows quietly, almost invisibly, like seeds beneath the soil, roots beneath the ground, stars waiting behind clouds. Things can be happening even when we cannot see them. Perhaps tonight, there are areas of your life where progress feels slow, questions that remain unanswered, dreams that seem distant. If so, remember that God's work is not always loud. Sometimes it is gentle. Sometimes it is hidden. Sometimes it unfolds so gradually that we only recognize it when we look back. The shepherds of ancient days understood patience. They spent long hours walking quiet paths, watching over their flocks. Much of their work happened unnoticed. There were no crowds applauding, no celebrations, no recognition. Yet their faithfulness mattered. Day after day, night after night. And perhaps there's something beautiful about that. The understanding that not everything valuable is visible. Many of the most important things in life happen quietly. trust grows quietly. Character grows quietly. Wisdom grows quietly. Love often grows quietly too. Even healing, especially healing, usually happens one small step at a time. The night is a wave slowing everything down, inviting reflection, inviting rest, inviting perspective. What seemed overwhelming at midday sometimes feels different beneath the stars. Not because the situation changed, but because our hearts have become still enough to see it differently. There is wisdom in stillness. Not empty stillness. Peaceful stillness. The kind that allows a person to remember what truly matters. The kind that helps worries loosen their grip. The kind that reminds us we are held by something greater than ourselves. Tonight, you do not have to carry every responsibility into sleep. You do not have to rehearse tomorrow's conversations. You do not have to solve next week's challenges. You do not have to predict every possible outcome. Those things can wait. For now, there is only this moment, this breath, this quiet evening, in the presence of God. Steady, faithful, unchanging. Long before you woke this morning, God was present. Long after you fall asleep tonight, God will remain present. Nothing surprises him. Nothing catches him unprepared. Nothing causes him to lose sight of you. The Psalms often describe God as a refuge, a shelter, a place of safety. Not because storms never come, but because we are not left alone when they do. And that truth remains just as comforting tonight. Perhaps even more comforting. The world can feel uncertain. News changes. Circumstances change. People change. Yet God's faithfulness remains. Like the stars returning each evening. Like the tide returning to shore. Like the sunrise arriving every morning. Steady. Reliable. Sure. If your heart feels tired tonight, rest in that certainty. If your thoughts feel crowded tonight, rest in that certainty. If you're carrying concerns you cannot yet resolve, rest in that certainty. You are not walking alone. You never have been. Even on days when God felt distant. Even during seasons when answers seemed delayed. Even through moments you did not understand. His presence remained. Quiet perhaps, but real. As the evening grows deeper, imagine yourself beside those still waters once more. The surface calm, the air cool, the stars reflected above. No striving, no rushing, no pressure, only peace. The kind of peace that cannot be manufactured. The kind of peace that arrives when the heart learns to trust. And tonight, that peace is being offered freely. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to prove yourself worthy of it. You simply have to receive it. So let the day go. Let the noise go. Let the hurry go. And allow yourself to rest in the gentle presence of God. Because while you sleep, the one who watches over heaven and earth remains awake, faithful, loving, and near, very near. And that is enough for this moment. Very gently, more than enough. There is a reason people have looked toward the night sky for thousands of years. Not because the stars answer every question, but because they remind us how much exists beyond our worries. A person can spend an entire day carrying concerns, thinking, planning, wondering. Then they step outside beneath a sky full of stars, and suddenly everything feels a little different. The problems may still be there. The questions may still remain. Yet the heart remembers something important. Life is bigger than this moment, and God is bigger than anything we face. Many of the writers of the Psalms understood this deeply. They spent nights beneath open skies, watching distant hills fade into darkness, listening to the wind move through trees. And in those quiet moments, they discovered something. God often speaks most clearly when the noise fades. Not always through words, not always through dramatic signs. Sometimes through peace, sometimes through stillness, sometimes through a quiet assurance that settles gently into the heart. An assurance that says, you are seen, you are known, you are cared for. Perhaps tonight, you need that reminder, not because your faith is weak, not because you have done anything wrong, simply because human hearts grow tired. Even faithful hearts, even hopeful hearts, even strong hearts. There are seasons when carrying responsibilities feels heavy. Seasons when decisions feel complicated. Seasons when uncertainty seems to stretch farther than expected. Yet throughout Scripture, God never asks people to pretend those feelings do not exist. Instead, He invites them to bring those feelings to Him. The fears, the questions, the disappointments, the hopes, everything. Not just the polished parts, not just the confident parts. Everything. There is freedom in that. Freedom in knowing that God already understands what is in your heart. Even the things you struggle to put into words. Even the emotions you cannot fully explain. Even the worries you have carried for so long that they have become familiar. He sees them all, and He remains near. Imagine a shepherd walking quietly beneath the stars, the flock resting nearby, the hills silent around him. He does not spend the night worrying about tomorrow's sunrise. He trusts that morning will come, and eventually, it always does. There is wisdom in that trust, a gentle confidence that life does not depend entirely on our efforts. Yes, we work. Yes, we plan. Yes, we act responsibly. But ultimately, we are not carrying the universe on our shoulders. God never asked us to. The Psalms return to this truth again and again. Not because people forget it once, because people forget it often. We all do. We pick up burdens that were never ours to carry. We take responsibility for things beyond our control. We replay situations that cannot be changed. And before long, our hearts become exhausted. Tonight can be different. Not because every circumstance changes, but because you can release what was never meant to remain in your hands. Imagine placing every concern beside a quiet river, one at a time. The conversation you keep replaying. Set it down. The uncertainty about tomorrow. Set it down. The pressure to have everything figured out. Set it down. The fear of making mistakes. Set it down. The weight of expectations. Set it down. Not forever. Not because those things do not matter, but because for this moment, rest matters too. Your soul needs moments of stillness, just as the earth needs night, just as fields need rain, just as rivers need time. Rest is not weakness. It is part of the design. The Creator who formed mountains, oceans, forests, and stars also created the rhythm of rest. A reminder that life was never meant to be an endless race. And perhaps tonight, that reminder arrives at exactly the right time. The room around you is quiet now. The day has moved on. The responsibilities of today have done all they can do. Nothing more is required of this moment. Nothing needs to be proven. Nothing needs to be achieved. Nothing needs to be earned. There is only this peaceful invitation to slow down, to breathe, to trust, to rest. Outside, the stars continue shining. The wind continues moving. The earth continues turning. And through it all, God remains faithful, just as He has always been. The same faithfulness that guided generations before us. The same faithfulness that carried people through seasons of joy and seasons of uncertainty. The same faithfulness that watches over you tonight. So let your breathing become slower. Let your thoughts become gentler. Let your heart become quiet. And as sleep gradually draws nearer, remember this simple truth. You are held by a love that does not grow tired, a presence that does not leave, a faithfulness that does not fade. And tonight, under the care of that faithful God, you can rest deeply, peacefully, without fear, for He is watching over you, even now, especially now, as the night grows still. Sometimes, the most beautiful moments in life are the ones nobody notices. A sunrise that arrives while most people are still asleep. A quiet prayer whispered in the dark. A gentle act of kindness that is never spoken about again. The world often celebrates what is loud, what is impressive, what can be measured. But God has always noticed the quiet things too. The hidden courage, the unseen faithfulness, the small moments when a person chooses hope instead of despair. The Psalms are filled with reminders of this, not because the writers lived extraordinary lives every day, but because they learned to see God's presence in ordinary days. A cool breeze, a peaceful field, a song in the night, a moment of unexpected comfort. Sometimes the most sacred moments arrive without announcement. Perhaps you have experienced that before. A difficult season, a heavy week, a long stretch of uncertainty. Then unexpectedly, a small moment brings peace. Not a solution, not a miracle, just enough peace to keep moving forward. Those moments matter, more than we often realize. Imagine a lantern glowing softly beside a path at night. It does not illuminate the entire journey. It simply provides enough light for the next few steps. And often, that is how God guides. Not by revealing every detail, but by providing enough grace for the moment we are living. Enough strength for today. Enough peace for tonight. Enough hope for the next step. The future has a way of making people anxious, because it exists beyond our reach, beyond our plans, beyond our certainty. Yet every generation before us faced the same reality. They too wondered what tomorrow would bring. They too carried unanswered questions. And still, life continued. God remained faithful. Morning continued to arrive. The same will be true for you. There may be things ahead that you cannot yet see, blessings you have not yet imagined, friendships you have not yet formed, moments of joy that have not yet arrived. Just as there were yesterday, just as there were years ago, the story is not finished. Even when a chapter feels difficult, even when the path seems unclear, God continues writing, one page at a time, one season at a time, one day at a time. And perhaps there is comfort in knowing that you do not need to read the entire story tonight. You only need to rest within the chapter you are living. Outside, the night continues quietly. The stars remain above. The earth moves steadily through the darkness. Everything is held together by a wisdom far greater than our own. The oceans know where to stop. The moon knows its path. The seasons arrive in their time. Creation itself speaks of God's faithfulness. A faithfulness woven into every sunrise, every evening sky, every gentle breeze. And if God cares for all of creation, how much more does He care for you? The Psalms often ask people to remember what God has done, to remember His goodness, to remember His faithfulness, because remembering changes the heart. It shifts our attention away from fear, away from uncertainty, and back toward trust. Perhaps tonight, you can remember something too. A moment when help arrived unexpectedly. A season you thought you would never get through. A burden that eventually became lighter. A prayer that found its answer in ways you did not expect. Life contains more evidence of God's faithfulness than we sometimes notice. Not because every day is easy, but because God remains present through every season. The good seasons, the uncertain seasons, the joyful seasons, the quiet seasons, through all of them. And tonight, He remains present still, not demanding, not distant, not waiting for perfection, simply present, like a steady light in the darkness, like a shelter during a storm, like a calm voice reminding the heart that it is safe. As this evening grows deeper, allow yourself to receive that peace, not as something you must create, but as something already being offered. The invitation has always been there, to trust, to rest, to be still. And perhaps that invitation feels especially meaningful at night, because sleep itself is an act of trust. Each evening, we release control. We close our eyes. We surrender the hours we cannot manage. And somehow, morning finds us again. Tonight can be the same. You do not need to hold on so tightly. You do not need to stay alert for every possibility. You do not need to carry tomorrow into the night. Let tomorrow wait until tomorrow. For now, there is only peace, only stillness, only the gentle presence of God surrounding this moment. And beneath that faithful presence, you are safe to rest, safe to breathe, safe to sleep. The shepherd is watching. The night is quiet, and your soul can be at peace. There is something gentle about the way evening arrives. It never rushes. It never forces its way into the day. Little by little, The sunlight softens, the shadows lengthen, the noise begins to settle, and before long, the world becomes quiet enough to hear things that were always there. The wind moving through leaves, the distant rhythm of the night, the steady beat of your own heart. Many people spend their days surrounded by noise, conversations, responsibilities, notifications, deadlines, one thing after another, one demand after another, and sometimes, without realizing it, the soul becomes tired, not because it is weak, simply because it has been carrying too much for too long. Perhaps that is why moments of stillness feel so sacred. Not because they solve every problem, but because they remind us that our value is never tied to constant activity. You do not become more loved by God because you work harder. You do not become more worthy because you accomplish more. You do not become more precious because you never make mistakes. God's love has never depended on those things. It has always existed before the achievements, before the victories, before the answers, and it remains after the difficult days as well. The Psalms often return to this image of refuge, a safe place, a shelter, a resting place, not because life is always easy, but because everyone needs somewhere their heart can rest. Imagine a traveler walking a long road. The journey has been longer than expected. The sun has been hot. The path has been tiring. Then in the distance, the traveler sees a place of shelter, shade, water, a place to sit and breathe. Nothing about the road behind them changes, yet everything feels different, because now there is rest. In many ways, God offers that same shelter to the weary heart, not always by removing every challenge, but by providing peace within them. A peace that does not depend entirely on circumstances. A peace that remains even when life feels uncertain. This kind of peace is quiet. It does not usually arrive with dramatic announcements. It arrives gently, like moonlight appearing across still water, like the first star appearing in the evening sky. Slowly, patiently, steadily, and perhaps tonight, that peace is already closer than you realize. Not somewhere far away, not waiting for the perfect moment. Right here, in this breath, in this stillness, in this quiet evening. The Psalms remind us again and again that God watches over his people. Not occasionally, not only during important moments, but continually, through ordinary days, through ordinary nights, through moments that seem insignificant to everyone else. Nothing escapes his attention. The tears nobody saw, the courage nobody noticed, the prayers spoken only in whispers. God sees them all, and there's comfort in being fully known, not partially known, not misunderstood, not judged by appearances, fully known and fully loved. As the night deepens, perhaps you can release the need to have all the answers. Some answers come with time. Some answers come with experience. And some answers arrive only when the moment is right. Until then, trust can carry what certainty cannot. Trust does not require seeing the entire path, only believing that God walks it with you. And he does. Even now, even tonight, even in the quiet moments nobody else sees. Outside, the stars continue their silent journey. The moon continues across the sky. The night continues unfolding exactly as it should. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is striving. Nothing is anxious about tomorrow. Creation rests within God's care. And perhaps your heart can do the same. Just for this evening. Just for these moments before sleep. Allow yourself to stop carrying what was never yours to control. Allow yourself to stop rehearsing every possibility. Allow yourself to stop searching for certainty in every direction. Rest instead. Rest in God's goodness. Rest in His faithfulness. Rest in His presence. The shepherd who guides beside still waters has not stopped guiding. The God who watches over the stars has not stopped watching. The one who has carried countless people through countless nights remains just as faithful tonight. And because of that, you can let your thoughts become quieter. You can let your breathing become slower. You can let your heart become lighter. Not because every question is answered, but because you are not facing those questions alone. For now, the night is peaceful, the world is still, and God is near, very near. So rest beneath His care, rest beneath His faithfulness, rest beneath His love, and let the quiet of this evening carry you gently towards sleep. Like still waters beneath a sky full of stars. Calm, safe, and deeply at peace. The night has grown deeper now. The sky is darker. The world is quieter. And many of the lights that filled the evening have begun to disappear one by one. Homes have settled into silence. Roads have become empty. The busy rhythm of the day has finally come to rest. There is something unique about these late night hours. A feeling that cannot quite be found at any other time. The world seems to exhale. The noise fades. And everything becomes slower. For some people, this is the most peaceful part of the day. For others, it can be the most difficult. Because when everything becomes quiet, thoughts sometimes become louder. Questions that remained hidden during the day begin to surface. Memories drift into view. Concerns ask for attention. The mind starts revisiting conversations, replaying moments, imagining possibilities. And before long, the heart can begin carrying burdens that were never meant to stay awake all night. The writers of the Psalms understood this. They knew what it felt like to lie awake. They knew what it felt like to face uncertainty. Yet again and again, they returned to a simple truth. God remains awake even when we sleep. What a comforting thought. The one who watches over creation never grows tired. Never becomes distracted, never misses a moment. While cities sleep, God remains present. While oceans move beneath moonlit skies, God remains present. While stars continue their silent journey across the heavens, God remains present. And while you rest tonight, God remains present. Imagine a small house resting quietly beneath the stars. Its windows dark. Its rooms peaceful. Its occupants asleep. Outside, the wind moves softly through trees. Clouds drift across the sky. The night continues its quiet work. Inside, everything is still. Protected. Safe, at rest. This image appears throughout Scripture. The idea that God watches over his people with constant care, not with anxiety, not with worry, but with perfect awareness. Nothing catches him by surprise. Nothing appears unexpectedly. Nothing arrives beyond his notice. That means the thing you are worried about tonight is not unknown to him. The situation you have been carrying, the uncertainty you have been thinking about, the answer you are still waiting for, God already sees it clearly, completely, perfectly. And because he sees it, you do not have to spend the entire night holding it tightly. There is a difference between caring about something and carrying it endlessly. Many people confuse the two. They believe that if they keep worrying, keep thinking, keep analyzing, they are somehow helping. Yet often, they are simply exhausting themselves. The night was not created for endless striving. The night was created for rest, for trust, for renewal, for peace. Imagine standing beneath a sky filled with stars, thousands upon thousands of lights stretching beyond what the eye can count. Most of them have been shining long before any of us were born, and they will continue shining long after we are gone. Their quiet existence reminds us of something important. God has been faithfully governing creation for a very long time. He has guided generations through uncertainty, through wars, through storms, through heartbreak, through waiting, and through every season. His faithfulness remained. The same faithfulness that carried people yesterday is carrying people tonight, including you. Perhaps there are things in your life that feel unfinished, questions still unanswered, doors not yet opened, paths not yet clear. That is all right. Life has always contained unfinished chapters, even for the people who trusted God deeply. The Psalms were not written by people who had every answer. They were written by people who learned how to trust in the middle of uncertainty. And maybe that is where true peace begins. Not when every question disappears, but when trust becomes stronger than fear. As you continue listening tonight, allow yourself to release the need to manage everything. Release the need to predict every outcome. Release the need to understand every delay. Release the need to control every detail. The future does not belong to you alone. It rests safely in God's hands. The same hands that formed the stars. The same hands that shaped mountains. The same hands that sustain every living thing. And if those hands can hold creation, they can certainly hold your tomorrow. So let your thoughts settle, like snow falling gently across a quiet landscape. Let your concerns become lighter, like leaves drifting upon a calm river. Let your heart rest in the knowledge that while you sleep, God remains watchful. God remains faithful. God remains near. The night is no burden to him. Darkness does not concern him. Tomorrow does not surprise him. Everything is already known, already seen, already held within his care. And because of that, you can close your eyes without fear. You can release the day without regret. You can enter sleep without carrying the weight of the world. For the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps is watching over you tonight, quietly, faithfully, lovingly, as he always has, and as he always will. Rest now. The night is peaceful, and you are safe within God's care. There's a certain stillness that only arrives after midnight. A stillness so deep, it almost feels as though the world itself has grown quiet. The roads are empty. The conversations have ended. The hurried pace of the day has finally faded into silence. And in that silence, many people discover something. The world keeps turning without their effort. The stars continue shining. The wind continues moving. The earth continues its journey through the darkness. Life continues. Even while we rest, there is wisdom hidden in that simple truth. A reminder that not everything depends upon us. Not every outcome. Not every solution. Not every tomorrow. God has been caring for His creation long before we arrived. And He will continue caring for it while we sleep tonight. Imagine a lighthouse standing beside a rocky shoreline. The night is dark. Clouds move across the sky. Waves roll steadily toward the coast. Yet the lighthouse remains exactly where it belongs. Steady. Reliable. Unmoving. Its purpose is not to control the sea. Its purpose is simply to shine. In many ways, God's faithfulness resembles that lighthouse. When circumstances shift, He remains steady. When uncertainty grows, He remains steady. When the future feels unclear, He remains steady. The Psalms often speak about this kind of security. Not security found in perfect circumstances, but security found in God's character. Because circumstances change. People change. Seasons change. But God's nature remains the same. Faithful. Patient. Good. Tonight, perhaps your heart needs that reminder. Not because you have forgotten completely, but because human hearts sometimes need to hear familiar truths again. The same way a weary traveler needs water more than once. The same way a garden needs rain more than once. The soul also needs reminders. Reminders that God is present. Reminders that God is faithful. Reminders that God has not abandoned the story. Even when progress seems slow. Even when prayers seem unanswered. Even when life feels uncertain. Many of the people who wrote the Psalms experienced long seasons of waiting. They waited for guidance. They waited for protection. They waited for promises to unfold. And often, they waited longer than they expected. Yet during those seasons, they learned something valuable. Waiting does not mean God is absent. Silence does not mean God is distant. Delay does not mean God is forgotten. Sometimes important things are happening beneath the surface, like roots growing beneath the ground. Nothing appears visible, yet growth continues, quietly, patiently, steadily. Perhaps there are places in your life where God is working in ways you cannot yet see. Conversations still unfolding. Doors still opening. Lessons still developing. Healing still taking place. The night reminds us that unseen things are not necessarily absent things. The stars remain present behind clouds. The sun remains present beyond the horizon. And God's care remains present even when we cannot fully see it. That truth has comforted countless people throughout history. People who faced uncertainty. People who carried burdens. People who wondered how the story would unfold. And tonight, it can comfort you too. As you continue resting, Notice how little is being asked of you right now. You do not need to solve tomorrow. You do not need to defend yourself against every possibility. You do not need to prepare for every outcome. The future will arrive one day at a time, just as it always has. For now, there is only this evening, this breath, this quiet moment. And within this moment, God is present, closer than your fears, closer than your worries, closer than the questions still waiting for answers. His presence does not depend upon circumstances. It does not depend upon emotions. It does not depend upon perfect understanding. It remains steady and faithful. Imagine moonlight stretching across calm water, the surface peaceful, the night air cool, the shoreline silent. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is striving. Nothing is afraid. Creation simply rests within the care of its creator. And perhaps tonight, your heart can do the same. Trust does not require having every answer. Trust simply means believing that God's hands are strong enough to hold what yours cannot. And they are. Strong enough for your concerns. Strong enough for your future. Strong enough for the things that feel uncertain tonight. The one who watches over the night is watching over you. Not with impatience. Not with disappointment. Not with distance. But with compassion. With gentleness. With unwavering care. So as the hours continue passing, allow your thoughts to become quieter. Allow your heart to become lighter. Allow yourself to rest more deeply. You are not carrying this night alone. The faithful God who watches over all creation is watching over you as well. And that is enough. More than enough. For this peaceful night. As the night grows deeper, imagine a quiet landscape beneath the stars. Fields resting in silence. Trees standing gently against the horizon. The world wrapped in darkness, yet somehow filled with peace. From a distance, everything appears still, yet life continues. The wind moves softly through the branches. The rivers continue their journey. The stars continue their ancient paths across the heavens. And above it all, God watches with perfect care. One of the most comforting images found in the Psalms is the image of refuge. A place of safety. A place of shelter. A place where fear does not have the final word. Throughout history, people have always searched for refuge. A place to rest. A place to recover. A place where their hearts could finally become quiet. And the Psalms remind us that God's presence offers exactly that. Not merely protection from danger, but peace within uncertainty. Imagine a small cabin in the mountains, a storm passing across distant hills, rain falling softly against the roof, the wind moving through the forest. Inside, a warm light glows, a fire crackles gently. Everything feels safe. The storm may continue outside, but inside, there is rest. There is something beautiful about knowing that safety is not always the absence of storms. Sometimes it is the presence of shelter. The Psalms never promise a life without challenges. They promise a faithful God who remains present through them. That distinction matters, because every life encounters difficult seasons. Every journey includes moments of uncertainty. Every heart experiences nights when questions feel heavier than answers. Yet through every season, God remains near, not only during victories, not only during celebrations, but also during long nights, during quiet tears, during moments when nobody else understands. Nothing is hidden from him. Nothing is beyond his notice. Nothing is too small to matter. Even the concerns that seem insignificant to others. Even the thoughts you have not spoken aloud. Even the worries you carry quietly. God sees them, and he cares. The night has a way of making burdens feel larger. A concern that seemed manageable during the day can feel overwhelming at midnight. A question that appeared small can suddenly seem enormous. Yet often, the burden itself has not changed, only the perspective. That is why the Psalms repeatedly invite people to lift their eyes, to look beyond immediate fears, to remember the larger story, to remember the God who remains faithful through every chapter. Perhaps tonight, you need that reminder, not because your concerns are unimportant, but because your concerns are not larger than God's care. Nothing you face is beyond his wisdom. Nothing you carry is beyond his strength. Nothing you fear is beyond his awareness. Imagine standing beneath a sky filled with countless stars. Their light has traveled incredible distances to reach the earth. Some of that light began its journey long before anyone alive today was born. And still, it arrives. There is something humbling about that. Something that reminds us how vast God's creation truly is. Yet the same God who placed every star in its place knows your name, knows your story, knows your worries, knows your hopes. The vastness of creation does not make you smaller in God's eyes. It reveals how remarkable his attention truly is. He cares for galaxies, and he cares for you. He guides stars through the heavens, and he guides hearts through difficult seasons. The same faithfulness reaches both. As the night continues, allow yourself to rest beneath that truth. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not facing life alone. Even now, while the world grows quiet, God remains attentive, like a watchman standing faithfully through the night, like a shepherd watching over a sleeping flock, like a light that continues shining even when darkness surrounds it. His care does not sleep. His love does not grow weary. His faithfulness does not fade. And because of that, your heart does not need to remain on guard all night. You can release your concerns, little by little, not because they are insignificant, but because they are safe in God's hands. The future is safe in God's hands. Tomorrow is safe in God's hands. And tonight, you are safe in God's hands as well. The stars continue shining. The night continues unfolding. And God's faithful presence remains exactly where it has always been. Near, steady, trustworthy. So rest beneath that shelter. Rest beneath that care. Rest beneath that love. And let the quiet rhythm of the night carry you gently toward deeper peace. For the one who watches over all creation is watching over you tonight with perfect attention, perfect wisdom, and perfect love. Rest now. The night is held by God, and so are you. There is a beautiful moment that happens during the night, a moment most people never notice. It is the moment when the world becomes completely still. Not silent, but still. The kind of stillness where even the smallest sounds seem gentle. The distant rustle of leaves. The quiet hum of the night. The soft rhythm of breathing. In moments like these, it becomes easier to remember that God has never been in a hurry. Human beings often rush. We rush decisions. We rush healing. We rush growth. We rush answers. But throughout Scripture, God often works differently. Patiently. Carefully. Wisely. Like a gardener tending a field. Like a shepherd leading a flock. Like a craftsman shaping something valuable. Nothing rushed, nothing wasted, nothing overlooked. Perhaps tonight, there are parts of your life that feel unfinished. Areas where you wish things would move faster. Questions you wish were already answered. Prayers you wish had already been fulfilled. If so, you are not alone. The people who wrote the Psalms knew that feeling well. They understood waiting. They understood uncertainty. They understood nights when the future seemed unclear. Yet they also discovered something important. God's timing is rarely hurried, but it is never careless. Sometimes growth happens beneath the surface, where nobody can see it. Like roots growing beneath a tree. Like seeds developing beneath the soil. Like rivers slowly shaping stone. The work continues, even when it is invisible. And perhaps tonight, there are things happening in your life that you cannot yet see. Lessons taking shape. Strength being developed. Doors quietly opening. Paths gradually becoming clear. The night does not reveal everything, but it reminds us that unseen things can still be real. The stars remain beyond the clouds. The dawn remains beyond the horizon. And God's purposes remain at work even when we cannot fully understand them. That is one reason the Psalms speak so often about trust. Not blind trust, not careless trust, but the kind of trust that grows from experience. The kind that remembers God's faithfulness in the past and believes He will remain faithful in the future. Perhaps there was a time in your life when you wondered how things would unfold. A season when you could not see the way forward. Yet somehow, you arrived here. Not because every step was easy. Not because every answer appeared immediately. But because God continued guiding you one day at a time. The same God who guided you then is guiding you now. And He will continue guiding you tomorrow. The night can feel long when the heart is carrying concerns. But no night lasts forever. Eventually, morning arrives. The horizon brightens. The darkness softens. And a new day begins. This has been true for every generation, every century, every season of human history. And it remains true tonight. Whatever uncertainty you are facing, it will not last forever. Whatever burden you are carrying, God's grace is greater. Whatever question remains unanswered, God's wisdom remains trustworthy. You do not need to know everything tonight. You do not need to solve everything tonight. You do not need to prepare for every possibility tonight. The night was not created for striving. It was created for rest, for releasing, for trusting, for sleeping beneath God's care. Imagine once more that quiet shepherd beneath the stars, the flock resting peacefully nearby, the hills silent in the darkness. The shepherd is not anxious, not because he controls everything, but because he knows he is watching, and he knows he is present. The Psalms often use that image because it reveals something about God's heart. He is attentive. He is near. He is watchful, not searching for faults, not waiting for failure, but caring, protecting, guiding. And tonight, that same care surrounds you. As your breathing becomes slower, as your thoughts become quieter, as sleep gradually draws closer. Remember this: God is not worried about tomorrow. And because He holds tomorrow securely, you do not need to fear it tonight. The future remains in His hands. Your story remains in His hands. Your life remains in His hands. Strong hands, faithful hands, loving hands. So let the concerns of the day grow lighter. Let the questions become quieter. Let the pressure begin to fade. The night is peaceful. The stars remain above. And God remains near, watching over you, caring for you, holding you securely through every hour of the night. Rest now. You are sheltered by His presence. You are surrounded by His care. and you are safe beneath his watchful love. The night belongs to God, and so does your tomorrow. There is nothing left to carry right now. Only peace, only stillness, only rest. Imagine for a moment a small bird resting safely beneath the wings of its mother. The night air is cool. The world around it is large. The darkness stretches far beyond what it can see. Yet the little bird is not afraid. Not because it understands everything around it. Not because it knows what tomorrow will bring. But because it is sheltered, protected, held close. The Psalms often use this image, not as poetry alone, but as a reminder that God's care is not distant. It is personal, close enough to comfort, close enough to protect, close enough to bring peace in the middle of uncertainty. There are many things in life we cannot control. Weather changes, seasons change, people change, circumstances change, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes without warning. And when that happens, it is natural for the heart to seek something steady, something dependable, something that remains when everything else seems to shift. The Psalms point us toward that refuge, not toward perfect circumstances, not toward endless comfort, but toward God's faithful presence. The presence that remains when answers are delayed. The presence that remains when roads feel uncertain. The presence that remains when the night feels long. Imagine a traveler finding shelter during a storm. Rain falling outside. Wind moving through the trees. Clouds covering the sky. Yet inside the shelter, there is warmth. There is peace. There is safety. The storm may continue beyond the walls, but the traveler is no longer exposed to it. Many people spend their lives trying to eliminate every storm, yet the Psalms teach a different lesson. They teach us to seek refuge while the storm passes, to rest beneath God's care, to trust His protection, to remember that His presence is greater than our fears. Fear has a way of exaggerating things. It makes challenges seem larger, delays seem longer, questions seem heavier. But God's presence is a way of restoring perspective, not by pretending difficulties do not exist, but by reminding us that difficulties are not the whole story. God remains present within them, and beyond them. Tonight, perhaps there are concerns that have followed you into the evening, concerns about people you love, concerns about decisions still waiting to be made, concerns about things you cannot yet see clearly. If so, imagine placing those concerns gently into God's hands. Not forcefully, not all at once, simply one at a time, like setting down a heavy bag after a long journey. You were never meant to carry every burden forever. Some things belong with God. Some things are safer there than they are in your anxious thoughts. The Psalms describe God as a fortress, a refuge, a shelter, a strong tower. These are not images of fear. They are images of confidence. They remind us that safety is found not in controlling everything, but in trusting the one who already holds everything together. Outside, the stars continue shining. Clouds move slowly across the sky. The night unfolds exactly as it should. Nothing is frantic. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is afraid. Creation rests within God's care. And perhaps tonight, your heart can do the same. Allow your breathing to slow. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your thoughts to drift more gently. You do not need to remain alert for every possibility. You do not need to prepare for every outcome. You do not need to stay awake guarding tomorrow. God is already there, already present, already aware, already faithful. The same God who watches over oceans and mountains. The same God who knows every star by name. The same God who has carried countless people through countless nights. That God is watching over you, right now. And beneath his care, there is peace. A peace deeper than understanding. A peace stronger than fear. A peace quiet enough to settle even the busiest heart. So let yourself rest beneath that shelter tonight. Like a traveler beneath a sturdy roof. Like a child safely held. Like a bird resting beneath protective wings. You are not alone in this night. You are not forgotten in this night. You are not unprotected in this night. You are surrounded by God's presence, held by God's faithfulness, covered by God's love. And as the night grows deeper, allow that truth to become your resting place. No striving, no fear, no pressure, only the gentle assurance that God is near, and that his care is enough, more than enough, for this peaceful night. Rest now, under the shadow of his wings. The longer you sit quietly with the Psalms, the more you begin to notice something. They do not rush. They do not argue. They do not demand. Instead, they gently return the heart to the same place again and again. A place of trust. A place of refuge. A place of peace. Perhaps that is because human hearts have always needed reminders. Not reminders of how strong they must be. Not reminders of how much they must accomplish. But reminders that they are cared for. That they are not alone. That they are held by a faithful God. Tonight, as you listen, you do not have to become anything different. You do not have to improve yourself before you rest. You do not have to solve every weakness before you sleep. You do not have to arrive at perfection before God welcomes you into his peace. You can simply come as you are. Tired if you are tired. Hopeful if you are hopeful. Uncertain if you are uncertain. God has always met people where they are. The Psalms are filled with honest voices. Voices that celebrated. Voices that questioned. Voices that waited. Voices that hoped. And through all of them, God remained faithful. That faithfulness is not limited to one generation. It is not limited to one place. It is not limited to one season of life. It continues, quietly, steadily, without interruption. Imagine standing beside the ocean at night, the shoreline stretching into darkness, the waves moving gently toward the sand. Again, and again, and again. Each wave arrives. Each wave returns. Each wave follows a rhythm older than memory. There is comfort in rhythms that continue faithfully. The rising of the sun, the changing of seasons, the movement of rivers, the turning of the earth. And among those faithful rhythms, there is also the faithfulness of God. A faithfulness that has carried people through countless nights. Some nights filled with joy. Some nights filled with questions. Some nights filled with tears. Yet through all of them, God remained present. The same remains true tonight. Whatever the season of life looks like for you, God is not absent from it. He is present within the ordinary moments. Present within the waiting. Present within the uncertainty. Present within the quiet. Sometimes we expect God to appear only in extraordinary ways. Yet many of the Psalms discover him in simple things. A sunrise, a field, a star-filled sky, a peaceful night. Because God's presence often reveals itself through gentle reminders. A reminder that you are sustained. A reminder that you are guided. A reminder that you are loved. Not because life is perfect, but because God is faithful. As this night continues, allow yourself to release the need to carry every concern. The concerns may be real. The responsibilities may matter. But they do not all belong in your hands tonight. Some things can wait until morning. Some things can rest until tomorrow. And some things can be entrusted completely to God. The heart was never designed to live in constant tension. It was designed for trust, for hope, for peace, The Psalms return to these themes again and again because they remain true, not only in ancient times, but now, tonight, in this very moment. Perhaps sleep is drawing nearer now. Perhaps your thoughts are becoming quieter. Perhaps the concerns of the day are beginning to loosen their grip. If so, allow that process to continue. Do not force it. Do not hurry it. Let peace arrive naturally, like evening light fading into night, like stars appearing one by one, like waves settling upon the shore. God is not asking you to stay awake guarding your future. He's inviting you to rest within His care. The future belongs to Him. Tomorrow belongs to Him. And this night belongs to Him as well. You are safe to rest, safe to trust, safe to sleep. The shelter of God's presence remains around you. The quiet of the night remains before you, and His faithfulness remains beneath you, holding, supporting, sustaining, just as it always has, and just as it always will. So breathe deeply, rest peacefully, and allow yourself to settle more fully into the calm embrace of this night. For beneath the shadow of His wings, there is peace, and beneath His faithfulness, there is rest, deep rest, gentle rest, untroubled rest, the kind of rest that comes from knowing you are held by God. Not every song was written during a season of celebration. Some were written during waiting, some during uncertainty, some during nights when the writer felt weary and overwhelmed. And perhaps that is one reason the Psalms continue to comfort people today. Because they are honest. They do not pretend life is always easy. They do not pretend every prayer is answered immediately. They speak openly about the moments when the heart feels heavy, the moments when strength feels limited, the moments when hope seems distant. If you have ever experienced such moments, you are in good company. Every generation has known them. Every life encounters them. Even faithful people walk through seasons where the road feels longer than expected. The Psalms never hide that reality. Instead, they gently remind us that God remains present within those seasons too. Imagine a traveler walking through a valley at dusk. The path is quiet. The hills rise on both sides. The destination cannot yet be seen. The traveler continues walking. Not because the road is easy, but because stopping would not lead them home. Life often feels that way. We continue one step at a time, sometimes confidently, sometimes carefully, sometimes simply because it is the next step. And along the way, God walks with us, not only on the mountaintops, not only during moments of victory, but also in the valleys, also in the waiting, also in the uncertainty. Perhaps tonight there is something weighing on your heart, a disappointment, a question, a concern about the future, a memory that still lingers. You do not need to ignore it. You do not need to pretend it is not there. God already knows. The Psalms teach us that honesty is not the enemy of faith. Sometimes honesty is the beginning of deeper trust. The writers often brought their fears directly to God. Their questions, their frustrations, their hopes. Nothing was hidden. Nothing was polished. And through that honesty, they discovered something remarkable. God was not frightened by their questions. God was not offended by their struggles. God was not distant from their pain. He remained near, patient, compassionate, faithful. There is comfort in knowing that you do not need perfect words tonight. You do not need a perfectly organized prayer. You do not need a perfectly calm heart. You can simply be honest. Sometimes a quiet sigh is enough. Sometimes a whispered "help me" is enough. Sometimes silence itself becomes a prayer. And God understands. Imagine sitting beside a quiet river at dawn, mist resting above the water, the world still waking, everything calm and unhurried. The river does not rush. It continues moving steadily forward, even when rocks stand in its path, even when the journey turns unexpectedly, even when the destination remains unseen. Perhaps there is a lesson in that. You do not need to rush your healing. You do not need to rush your growth. You do not need to rush the process of becoming who God is shaping you to be. Some things take time, and that is not failure. That is simply life. The Psalms often move from sorrow toward hope. Not instantly, not magically, but gradually. Like darkness giving way to dawn. Like winter giving way to spring. Like night giving way to morning. Hope returns little by little. A small reminder. A quiet encouragement. A gentle sign of God's faithfulness. And before long, the heart begins to breathe more freely again. Perhaps tonight, hope does not need to arrive all at once. Perhaps it only needs to arrive in a small measure. Enough for this moment. Enough for this evening. Enough for this breath. The God who guides entire lifetimes is not asking you to carry tomorrow tonight. He is simply inviting you to rest, to trust, to place your weary heart in His care. And if your heart feels tired, that is all right. If your faith feels small, that is all right. If your path feels unclear, that is all right too. Because God's faithfulness is not measured by the strength of your emotions. It is rooted in His unchanging character. He remains faithful when you feel strong. He remains faithful when you feel weak. He remains faithful when answers come. And He remains faithful when questions remain. Tonight, allow that truth to settle gently over your heart. Like a blanket on a cool evening. Like moonlight across calm water. Like the first quiet light of dawn appearing beyond the horizon. You do not need to carry every burden alone. You do not need to walk every valley alone. You do not need to face every uncertainty alone. God is with you. Patiently. Tenderly. Faithfully. And as the night continues, may your heart become lighter. May your thoughts become quieter. May your soul find rest in His presence. One breath at a time. One moment at a time. One peaceful step at a time. For even when the heart feels heavy, God remains near, and His love remains steady. Through every season, through every valley, through every night, there are seasons in life when people carry burdens they never expected to carry. A dream that did not unfold the way they hoped. A door that remained closed. A season of waiting that lasted longer than expected. At first, the burden feels temporary. Something that will surely pass in a few days or weeks. But then time continues moving. And the burden remains. The waiting continues. The uncertainty continues. The questions continue. And slowly, the heart grows tired. The Psalms understand this kind of weariness. Not the weariness of the body alone, but the weariness of carrying concerns for a long time. The weariness that comes from hoping, waiting, wondering. Yet even within those Psalms, there is a quiet thread that never disappears. Hope. Not loud hope. Not dramatic hope. The kind of hope that survives difficult seasons. The kind of hope that remains even when answers have not arrived yet. Imagine a lamp glowing in a dark room. The room may still be dark, but the lamp continues shining. Its light may be gentle, yet it is enough. Enough to remind you that darkness is not all there is. Enough to remind you that morning is still coming. Hope often works that way. It does not always remove uncertainty. It simply reminds us that uncertainty is not the end of the story. Many of God's greatest works unfold gradually. A tree grows one season at a time. A river shapes stone one day at a time. A sunrise brightens the horizon little by little. And often, God's work within our lives unfolds the same way. Quietly, patiently, faithfully. There may be things happening beneath the surface that you cannot yet see. Strength being developed, wisdom being formed, character being shaped. Even now, even tonight, the difficult seasons of life sometimes convince people that nothing is happening. But the absence of visible progress does not mean the absence of God's work. Roots grow underground. Seeds develop beneath the soil. And many of the most important transformations happen where no one can see them. Perhaps your heart needs that reminder tonight. The story is still unfolding. The journey is still continuing. God is still working. Even in the waiting. Even in the quiet. Even in the uncertainty. The Psalms often describe God as a shepherd. And there's something comforting about that image. A shepherd does not abandon the flock when the path becomes difficult. A shepherd stays close, guiding, protecting, watching, patiently leading one step at a time. Sometimes we wish God would reveal the entire journey. Every turn, every answer, every detail. Yet more often, He provides enough light for the next step. And then the next. And then the next. Perhaps that is because trust grows through walking, not merely through knowing. The Psalms remind us that faith is often lived one day at a time, one prayer at a time, one act of trust at a time. And tonight, that is enough. You do not need enough strength for next month. You only need enough grace for this moment. You do not need answers for every question. You only need enough peace for tonight. And God's peace is already here, waiting quietly, not demanding, not forcing, simply inviting you to rest. Imagine once more that quiet river flowing beneath the moonlight, the water moving steadily forward, never rushing, never stopping. The river does not know every twist ahead, yet it continues, trusting the path before it, trusting the journey. Perhaps your life feels similar tonight. You may not know every answer. You may not see every outcome. You may not understand every chapter. But you can trust the one who sees the entire story. The one who stood at the beginning. The one who stands at the end. And the one who remains beside you in this very moment. God is not only present in your victories. He is present in your waiting. Present in your healing. Present in your unanswered questions. Present in this quiet night. As sleep draws nearer, allow your heart to rest in that truth. Allow the pressure to loosen. Allow the concerns to soften. Allow the future to remain where it belongs. In God's hands. Strong hands. Faithful hands. Patient hands. Hands that have carried countless people through countless seasons. And hands that are carrying you tonight. So breathe slowly. Rest deeply. Trust gently. The night is not asking anything more from you. The day is complete. The burdens can wait. For now, there is only God's presence, God's peace, and God's faithful love surrounding you. And within that love, your weary heart can finally rest. Deeply. Quietly, completely, for the shepherd is near, and his care never fails. Sometimes, the greatest gift God gives is not an immediate answer. Sometimes the gift is peace while we wait, a peace that arrives quietly, without fanfare, without explanation, a peace that does not always change circumstances immediately, but changes the way we carry them. The Psalms speak often about this kind of peace. A peace discovered not because every problem disappeared, but because the writer remembered who God is. Faithful, steady, trustworthy. There is comfort in remembering what remains unchanged. The seasons change. Years pass. People come and go. Circumstances shift unexpectedly. Yet God's character remains the same. The same mercy, the same compassion, the same faithfulness. Tonight, perhaps your heart needs a place to rest. Not a place of perfect understanding. Not a place where every question is answered. Simply a place where you can stop carrying everything for a while. Imagine setting down a heavy backpack after a long journey. You did not realize how much weight you were carrying until you finally put it down. Your shoulders relax. Your breathing becomes easier. Your body feels lighter. The burden may still exist, but it is no longer resting entirely upon you. Many people spend years carrying emotional burdens that way. Concerns about the future, regrets from the past, responsibilities that feel overwhelming. They carry them day after day, week after week, year after year, and eventually, they begin to believe the burden is part of who they are. But burdens were never meant to become your identity. They are things you carry for a season, not things you become. God sees the difference. He sees the person beneath the worry, the person beneath the exhaustion, the person beneath the uncertainty, the person He lovingly created. The Psalms remind us again and again that God understands human weakness, not with disappointment, but with compassion, like a loving father understanding a tired child, like a shepherd caring for a weary sheep. There is gentleness in the way God deals with weary hearts. He does not demand perfection before offering peace. He does not require flawless faith before offering comfort. He simply invites people to come closer, to trust, to rest. Perhaps tonight, that invitation is for you. Not because you have everything figured out. Not because every prayer has been answered. Not because every burden has disappeared. But because God's peace is available even before those things happen. Imagine sitting beside a fireplace on a cold evening. The flames moving gently. The room warm and quiet. The world outside growing darker. Inside, everything feels calm, protected, secure. The Psalms often create that same feeling. A reminder that God's presence can become a place of warmth in a cold season. A place of calm in a chaotic season. A place of rest in a weary season. And perhaps that is exactly what your soul needs tonight. Not more striving. Not more analyzing. Not more worrying. Simply rest. The kind of rest that comes when a person realizes they do not have to carry tomorrow alone. The kind of rest that comes when trust becomes stronger than fear. The kind of rest that comes when the heart finally stops fighting for a moment and allows itself to be held by God. Outside, the night continues quietly. The stars remain overhead. The earth continues its steady journey. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is panicking. Nothing is afraid of what morning might bring. Creation rests within God's care. And tonight, you can rest there too. Your future is not hanging by a thread. Your story is not out of control. Your life is not beyond God's reach. Even the chapters you do not understand are known to Him. Even the roads you cannot yet see are visible to Him. Even the prayers still waiting for answers are heard by Him. Nothing is lost. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing is overlooked. As this peaceful night continues, allow those truths to settle gently over your heart, like soft rain upon dry ground, like moonlight across still water, like a blanket on a cool evening. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. You are not carrying this journey by yourself. The faithful God who has carried people through every generation is carrying you tonight as well. And because of that, your heart can become still. Your thoughts can become quiet. Your soul can find rest. Not because life is perfect, but because God is faithful. And His faithfulness is enough. Enough for tonight. Enough for tomorrow. Enough for every step that lies ahead. So rest now. The shepherd remains near. The night remains peaceful. And God's love remains constant. holding you gently through every hour until morning. No matter how long the night feels, morning always comes. Every evening in history has eventually given way to dawn. Every sunset has been followed by a sunrise. Every night has moved quietly toward the light. The people who wrote the Psalms understood this well. They lived close to the rhythms of nature. They watched the stars appear. They watched the darkness settle over hills and valleys. And they watched the first light of morning return again. Night after night, year after year, generation after generation, the rhythm never failed. And in that rhythm, they saw something about God's faithfulness. Because just as dawn arrives after darkness, God's faithfulness remains after every difficult season. Perhaps there have been moments in your life when it felt as though the night would never end. Moments when answers seemed far away. Moments when hope felt difficult to find. Yet somehow, you arrived here. You continued. You endured. You kept moving forward. Maybe not perfectly. Maybe not without struggle. But you continued. And that matters. The Psalms often celebrate God's faithfulness not because life was easy, but because God remained faithful through difficulty. That distinction is important, because faithfulness shines most clearly when circumstances are uncertain. Imagine a sailor looking across the ocean before sunrise. The water still dark, the horizon barely visible, the sky quiet and vast. At first glance, nothing seems to be changing. Yet slowly, almost imperceptibly, light begins to appear. A faint glow, a gentle brightness, a subtle shift in the darkness. And before long, morning arrives. Many of God's blessings unfold that way. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but gradually, quietly, patiently. Hope returns little by little. Healing unfolds little by little. Strength grows little by little. The Psalms teach us to recognize those quiet movements of grace, the small encouragement, the unexpected kindness, the peaceful moment in the middle of a difficult season. These things matter more than we often realize, because they remind us that God is still working, still guiding, still providing, still present. Perhaps tonight, there are areas of your life where dawn has not yet fully arrived. Questions still waiting. Doors still closed. Prayers still unfolding. That is all right. The horizon does not brighten all at once. The sunrise unfolds one moment at a time. And God's work often follows the same pattern. Patiently, faithfully, steadily. The night can sometimes make people feel isolated. Yet the Psalms remind us that we are never truly alone. The same God who watches over the mountains, the same God who watches over oceans and forests and stars, watches over you. Not from a distance, not occasionally, but continually. Imagine standing on a hillside just before dawn, the air cool and still, the sky beginning to brighten, the first birds preparing to sing. There is anticipation in that moment, a quiet confidence that light is coming. No one needs to force the sunrise. No one needs to persuade the morning to arrive. It comes in its proper time, and many of God's promises unfold the same way. Not through pressure, not through fear, not through endless striving, but through faithful timing. The Psalms invite us to trust that timing, even when we cannot fully understand it, even when waiting feels difficult, even when the path ahead seems unclear. Trust grows one day at a time, one prayer at a time, one step at a time. Tonight, perhaps trust looks very simple. Perhaps it looks like resting. Perhaps it looks like releasing tomorrow into God's hands. Perhaps it looks like allowing your heart to become still. That is enough. You do not need extraordinary faith for this moment. You only need enough trust to rest, enough trust to sleep, enough trust to believe that God remains faithful through the night. And He does. The dawn always comes. The light always returns. And God's faithfulness remains through it all. As your thoughts grow quieter and your breathing becomes slower, allow that truth to settle gently within you. Whatever chapter you are living, it is not beyond God's care. Whatever season you are walking through, it is not beyond His wisdom. Whatever burden remains upon your heart, it is not beyond His strength. The night is temporary. God's faithfulness is not. The darkness passes. His love remains. The questions change. His character remains. The seasons come and go. His presence remains. Steady, certain, faithful. So rest now. The dawn will arrive when it is time. Tomorrow will come when it is ready. And until then, you are safely held within God's care. The shepherd watches. The stars shine quietly overhead. And the peace of God surrounds you like a gentle blanket in the night. Rest deeply. Rest peacefully. Rest confidently. For the dawn always comes. And God is with you until it does. There is something remarkable about the moments just before sunrise. The darkness is still present. The night has not fully passed. And yet, everything is already beginning to change. The horizon softens. The air feels different. The first hints of light quietly appear where only darkness existed before. No announcement is made. No trumpet sounds. No voice declares that morning is coming. It simply arrives. Patiently. Faithfully. Exactly as it always has. The Psalms often point toward this kind of hope. Not a hope built upon perfect circumstances. Not a hope built upon having every answer. But a hope built upon the character of God. A hope rooted in His faithfulness. A hope that remains steady even while waiting. Imagine a farmer planting seeds in a field. After the planting is finished, there is very little to see. The soil looks unchanged. The field appears quiet. Nothing visible seems to be happening. Yet beneath the surface, life is already beginning. Roots are forming. Growth is starting. Something beautiful is developing where no one can yet see it. Faith often works that way. There are seasons when God's work is happening beneath the surface. Seasons when progress cannot yet be measured. Seasons when trust grows quietly in hidden places. And though those seasons may feel slow, they are never wasted. Not one prayer is wasted. Not one act of trust is wasted. Not one season of waiting is wasted. God has a way of using even the quiet chapters of life. The chapters that seem ordinary. The chapters that seem uneventful. The chapters that feel hidden from everyone else. Many of the most important things in life grow quietly. Trees grow quietly. Wisdom grows quietly. Character grows quietly. Faith grows quietly. And often, God's deepest work within a heart happens in silence. Not because He has forgotten. Not because He has stepped away. But because growth often happens where noise cannot reach. Tonight, the world around you is quiet. The responsibilities of the day have ended. The demands have faded. The The noise has softened. This is a gift. A moment to simply be. A moment to rest. A moment to remember that God's love does not depend on your productivity. You do not need to earn His care. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to achieve something before He welcomes you into His peace. The invitation is already open. To rest. To trust. To be still. Perhaps one of the most beautiful truths found throughout the Psalms is this: God remains faithful even when people feel weak. When strength feels limited, He remains faithful. When understanding feels incomplete, He remains faithful. When the road ahead seems unclear, He remains faithful. His faithfulness is not fragile. It does not depend upon perfect circumstances. It does not depend upon perfect emotions. It does not depend upon perfect understanding. It simply remains, like the stars above, like the ocean tides, like the arrival of morning, reliable, steady, unchanging. And because of that, your heart can rest, not because life contains no challenges, but because God's care is greater than those challenges. Imagine standing beside a peaceful lake just before dawn. The water smooth as glass. The sky slowly brightening. The world completely calm. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is striving. Nothing is anxious. Everything waits peacefully for the coming light. There is wisdom in that image. Creation does not force the sunrise. It trusts the rhythm established by its creator. And perhaps tonight, your soul can trust as well. Trust that God is working even when you cannot see everything. Trust that His timing remains good. Trust that His faithfulness remains constant. Trust that the story is still unfolding. The chapter you are living is not the entire book. The night you are experiencing is not the end of the journey. The waiting you are enduring is not the end of the story. God continues writing, one page at a time, one season at a time, one day at a time, and He writes with wisdom far beyond our own. As sleep draws closer now, allow yourself to settle into that truth. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to carry everything. You do not need to solve everything tonight. You only need to rest. Rest in God's goodness. Rest in God's presence. Rest in God's faithfulness. The dawn will come. The light will return. And until then, you are held securely in the hands of a loving God. The night is peaceful. The stars are shining. And your soul is safe. So breathe deeply. Sleep peacefully. And rest beneath the quiet certainty that God is watching over you. Now, through the night, and into the coming dawn, lift your thoughts for a moment toward the night sky. Imagine standing beneath a vast expanse of stars, the air cool and still, the world quiet around you. Above, countless points of light shine across the darkness, some bright, some faint, some so distant their light has traveled for years to reach your eyes. And yet, God knows them all. The Psalms often invite us to look upward, not because the stars themselves hold the answers, but because they remind us of the greatness of their Creator. The same God who placed every star in its place knows your name. Think about that for a moment. The one who shaped galaxies, the one who formed oceans, the one who stretched up the heavens, knows you. Not generally, not from a distance, personally, completely, lovingly. Sometimes people feel small when they think about the size of the universe, the vastness of space, the countless stars scattered across the night sky. Yet the Psalms lead us to a different conclusion. They remind us that our smallness does not make us insignificant. It reveals the greatness of God's attention. The Creator of all things still cares for individual hearts. He notices quiet prayers. He notices hidden tears. He notices moments of courage nobody else sees. Nothing escapes his attention. Imagine an artist carefully creating a masterpiece. Every detail intentional. Every brushstroke chosen with care. The artist knows the work because the artist created it. In the same way, God knows you because you are His creation. He understands the parts of your story others may never fully understand. The hopes you carry, the questions you ponder, the dreams you rarely speak aloud. He sees them all, and He cares. The stars above us follow paths established long ago. Night after night, season after season, year after year. Their faithfulness reminds us of God's faithfulness. Not because stars are eternal, but because their Creator is. Imagine watching the night sky from a quiet hillside. No city lights, no distractions. Only the vast beauty of creation stretching above you. The longer you look, the more stars appear. At first you notice only a few, then dozens, then hundreds. Soon it feels impossible to count them all. Yet God can. Every star known, every light accounted for, every detail held within His wisdom. If God knows the stars so completely, how much more does He know the details of your life? The conversations you replay in your mind, the concerns that follow you into the night, the hopes you carry for tomorrow. Nothing is hidden from Him. And because nothing is hidden, nothing needs to be carried alone. Many people spend their nights trying to solve everything before sleep. Trying to understand every outcome, trying to predict every possibility, trying to control what has not yet happened. But the stars teach a quieter lesson. They simply remain where God has placed them. They follow the paths He established. They rest within His order. And perhaps tonight, your heart can learn from that. You do not need to control everything. You do not need to understand everything. You do not need to manage every detail of tomorrow. God is already there, already aware, already present, already faithful. The night sky has inspired wonder for thousands of years. Kings have looked at it. Shepherds have looked at it. Travelers have looked at it. Children have looked at it. And generation after generation has reached the same realization. God is greater than we imagine, yet closer than we expect. That truth brings peace, because it means your future does not rest solely on your strength. Your life does not depend entirely upon your understanding. Your story is not being written by chance. It rests within God's care. The same care that sustains the stars. The same care that guides the seasons. The same care that watches over creation night after night. And tonight, that care surrounds you as well. The stars shine quietly overhead. The earth continues its gentle journey through space. The night unfolds exactly as it should. Nothing is rushing. Nothing is striving. Nothing is afraid. Creation rests within God's wisdom, and your heart can rest there too. As your eyes grow heavier and your thoughts become quieter, allow yourself to settle beneath the vastness of God's care. A care greater than the heavens, a care deeper than the oceans, a care more constant than the stars themselves. You are known, you are seen, you are remembered, and tonight, you are safely held by the God who numbers the stars. Rest peacefully beneath His creation. Rest peacefully beneath His care. Rest peacefully beneath His love. For the one who knows every star by name knows your name too, and He watches over you through this peaceful night. The night sky is a way of slowing the heart. When people look upward long enough, many of the worries that felt enormous begin to seem a little smaller. Not because those worries disappear, but because perspective changes. The stars remind us that there is something greater than our fears, something greater than our uncertainty, something greater than the questions we carry. God has always been greater, long before today's concerns existed, long before this season of life began, long before any of us took our first breath. God was faithful, and He remains faithful now. Imagine a shepherd sitting quietly beneath a sky filled with stars, the flock resting peacefully nearby, the hills silent in the darkness. Nothing dramatic is happening. Nothing urgent demands attention. The shepherd simply watches, present, attentive, calm. There is something beautiful about quiet watchfulness. The Psalms often describe God in similar ways. Not distant, not distracted, attentive, present, near. A God who notices, a God who listens, a God who cares. Sometimes people wonder whether their small concerns matter to God, whether the details of ordinary life are important to Him. The Psalms answer that question repeatedly. Yes, they matter, because you matter. The same God who formed mountains cares about individual hearts. The same God who governs the stars listens to quiet prayers. The same God who sustains creation understands human weakness. There is comfort in that truth, especially during quiet nights, especially during seasons of uncertainty, especially during moments when life feels overwhelming. Imagine holding a single grain of sand in your hand. It seems so small, almost insignificant compared to a beach filled with countless grains. Yet each grain exists because God created it. Nothing within creation exists beyond His knowledge. Nothing exists beyond His care. And if God notices even the smallest details of creation, He certainly notices you. He notices your efforts, your struggles, your hopes, your weariness, not with judgment, not with impatience, but with compassion, with understanding, with love. The night often invites reflection. Thoughts drift through the mind. Memories appear. Questions surface. Sometimes those thoughts are peaceful. Sometimes they are not. But tonight, there is no need to follow every thought. No need to chase every concern. No need to solve every question. You can simply let them pass, like clouds drifting across a star-filled sky, appearing for a moment, then slowly moving on. The stars remain, and God's faithfulness remains as well. The Psalms often return to this idea, that while circumstances change, God remains constant. People change, nations change, generations come and go, yet God's character remains the same. His goodness remains, His mercy remains, His love remains, His faithfulness remains. Tonight, as you rest beneath the quiet beauty of creation, allow those truths to settle deeply within you. You do not need to earn God's attention. You already have it. You do not need to prove your worth. You already matter to Him. You do not need to fear being forgotten. You are already known. Known completely. Known personally. Known lovingly. Imagine the stars shining above a peaceful countryside. The fields resting. The trees standing still. The earth wrapped in darkness and calm. Everything appears peaceful. Everything appears secure. Everything rests within the care of its creator. And tonight, you can rest there too. The future can wait until morning. The questions can wait until morning. The responsibilities can wait until morning. For now, there is only this moment, this quiet night, this gentle stillness, this peaceful reminder that God is near, the God who numbers the stars, the God who guides the seasons, the God who watches over all creation, watches over you with perfect wisdom, with perfect patience, with perfect love. As sleep continues drawing closer, allow yourself to sink more deeply into that assurance. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are safely held within God's care. And beneath the endless canopy of stars, your soul can rest. Quietly, deeply, peacefully. For the God who knows every star by name, knows your heart as well. And He will faithfully watch over you through the night. There are few images in all of Scripture more peaceful than this one. A shepherd, a quiet path, still waters, green pastures. For thousands of years, these words have comforted weary hearts, not because they describe a life without difficulty, but because they describe a God who remains present through every season. Imagine yourself walking along a gentle hillside. The air is cool. The grass moves softly in the breeze. The sky stretches peacefully above. There is no hurry here. No pressure. No noise. Only quiet. Only stillness. Only peace. In today's world, many people rarely experience true stillness. There is always another task, another message, another responsibility, another distraction. The mind becomes accustomed to constant movement, and sometimes, without realizing it, the soul becomes tired. Not because life is wrong, but because rest has become rare. Psalm 23 begins with a simple reminder. The Lord is my shepherd. A shepherd guides. A shepherd protects. A shepherd remains near. The sheep do not need to know every detail of the journey. They simply follow the shepherd. There is peace in that image, because it reminds us that we were never meant to carry the entire journey by ourselves. God sees the road ahead, even when we cannot. He understands tomorrow, even when it remains unclear to us. He knows where the path leads, even when we can only see the next step. Imagine walking beside a calm stream, the water moving slowly, smoothly, quietly. No rushing current, no crashing waves, only gentle movement, only peace. The psalm speaks of still waters because stillness restores. A weary traveler needs rest, a tired body needs sleep, and a burdened heart needs peace. God understands this. He does not merely tolerate human weakness. He lovingly cares for it, like a shepherd caring for tired sheep, like a parent comforting a weary child. There is gentleness in God's care, a gentleness that many people forget. Sometimes people imagine they must carry every burden perfectly, handle every challenge flawlessly, remain strong every moment of every day. But the Psalms offer a different picture. A picture of people who became weary, people who struggled, people who needed rest, and a God who welcomed them, not with condemnation, not with impatience, but with compassion. Imagine sitting beside those still waters now, the surface reflecting the stars above, the night air cool against your skin, the world quiet around you. There is nothing you need to accomplish here, nothing you need to prove, nothing you need to fix, only rest, only the quiet awareness that God is near. The shepherd does not rush the flock. He leads at a pace they can follow. Perhaps that is a reminder some hearts need tonight. You do not need to rush your journey. You do not need to force every answer. You do not need to solve your entire future before morning. One step at a time is enough. One day at a time is enough. One breath at a time is enough. The still waters continue flowing. The shepherd continues guiding. And God's faithfulness continues surrounding you. Even now, even tonight, even in this quiet moment. Perhaps there are parts of your life that feel uncertain, words you cannot yet see clearly, questions that remain unanswered, chapters still being written. That is all right. The shepherd sees beyond the next hill. The shepherd understands the road ahead. The shepherd knows where the journey leads. And God does too. You are not wandering alone. You are not finding your way by yourself. You are not carrying the story without guidance. God remains near, closer than your fears, closer than your worries, closer than the questions that keep returning to your mind. His presence surrounds you like a peaceful landscape at dusk, steady, gentle, unchanging. The waters remain calm, the night remains quiet, and God's care remains faithful. As sleep begins to draw nearer, allow yourself to settle more deeply into that peace. Release what can wait until tomorrow. Release what does not belong in your hands tonight. Release the need to control every outcome. The shepherd is watching. The shepherd is guiding. The shepherd is near. And because he is near, you can rest deeply, safely, peacefully, beside still waters, beneath a sky full of stars, held within the faithful care of God. Rest now. The path is secure. The shepherd is present. And your soul is safe within his loving hands. The longer you remain beside still waters, the more you begin to notice their quiet wisdom. They do not rush. They do not force their way forward. They simply continue, steadily, patiently, faithfully, day after day, season after season, year after year. Perhaps there is something comforting about that. In a world that often feels hurried, still waters remind us that not everything important happens quickly. Trees take time to grow. Gardens take time to bloom. Healing takes time. Trust grows over time as well. The Psalms never rush the journey of faith. They allow space for waiting, space for questions, space for growth. And perhaps tonight, you can allow yourself that same grace. You do not need to have everything figured out. You do not need to understand every chapter of your story. You do not need to know exactly what tomorrow holds. You only need to rest in the presence of the one who does. Imagine the shepherd sitting quietly nearby, not anxious, not worried, not rushing ahead, simply present, simply watchful, simply faithful. There is peace in knowing that someone trustworthy is watching over the journey. Many of life's burdens come from feeling as though everything depends upon us. Every decision, every outcome, every future possibility. The weight of carrying all those thoughts can become exhausting. Yet the shepherd reminds us that we were never meant to carry the entire flock on our shoulders. We were meant to follow, to trust, to rest. And sometimes, the most faithful thing a person can do is simply stop striving for a moment. To stop rehearsing every possible outcome. To stop trying to control every detail. To stop carrying tomorrow before it arrives. Tonight is an invitation to do exactly that. The stars above are shining quietly. The waters continue their gentle movement. The night remains peaceful. And God remains near. Perhaps your heart has been carrying concerns that feel heavy. Concerns about people you love. Concerns about responsibilities. Concerns about things beyond your control. If so, imagine setting them beside the water. Not ignoring them. Not pretending they do not exist. Simply placing them where God can hold them for the night. One concern at a time. One burden at a time. One worry at a time. You do not have to carry them while you sleep. The shepherd remains awake. The shepherd remains watchful. The shepherd remains faithful. And that is enough. The moonlight reflects gently across the water. The breeze moves softly through the grass. The world seems wrapped in calm. There is no pressure here. No hurry. No demand. Only rest. Only peace. Only the quiet assurance that you are not alone. The Psalms often return to this truth because human hearts need it. Again and again. Year after year. Generation after generation. People need to remember that God is near. That His care remains constant. That His love does not fade. Tonight, those truths remain just as real as they were when the Psalms were first written. The world has changed. Generations have passed. Empires have risen and fallen. Yet God's faithfulness remains. Just as steady as the stars. Just as dependable as the dawn. Just as gentle as these still waters. And because His faithfulness remains, your heart can rest. Not because every problem has disappeared, but because because God's presence is greater than every problem. Not because every question has been answered, but because God's wisdom is greater than every question. Not because every burden is gone, but because God's strength is greater than every burden. As your breathing becomes slower and your body grows heavier with rest, allow these truths to settle deeply within you. You are guided. You are protected. You are cared for. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not alone. The shepherd knows where you are. The shepherd knows what you need. The shepherd knows the road ahead. And tonight, he invites you to rest beside still waters, to release the day, to release tomorrow, to release the weight you were never meant to carry alone. The water continues flowing, the stars continue shining, and God's love continues surrounding you, quietly, faithfully, endlessly. So rest now. Rest deeply. Rest peacefully. And allow your soul to settle into the calm embrace of God's presence. For beside still waters, there is peace. And within God's care, there is rest that never runs dry. The night has grown very quiet now. The stars continue their silent watch. The world rests beneath the darkness, and many hearts have already drifted into peaceful sleep. Perhaps you are still listening. Perhaps you are somewhere between wakefulness and dreams. Perhaps your thoughts are already beginning to soften. Wherever you are in this moment, God is near. Not because you have earned his presence, not because you have reached some perfect place of faith, but because his love remains constant, just as the stars remain above the earth, just as the dawn waits beyond the horizon, just as the oceans continue their rhythm. God remains faithful. There is a phrase found throughout Scripture that has comforted countless people. The everlasting arms. A beautiful image. A gentle image. A peaceful image. Not arms that grow tired. Not arms that lose their strength. Not arms that eventually let go. Everlasting arms. Strong enough to carry burdens. Gentle enough to comfort weary hearts. Faithful enough to remain through every season. Imagine a child who has fallen asleep while being carried. The child is not worried about the road ahead, not concerned about directions, not anxious about tomorrow. The child simply rests, secure in the arms that are carrying them. There is something deeply peaceful about that image, because it reminds us that not every part of the journey depends upon our own strength. Sometimes we are carried. Sometimes grace carries us through difficult seasons. Sometimes God's mercy carries us through uncertain seasons. Sometimes his love carries us when we feel too tired to keep walking. And perhaps tonight, you need that reminder. You do not have to carry everything alone. You do not have to support the entire weight of tomorrow. You do not have to stay awake protecting your future. God is already holding it. The future rests in his hands. Your story rests in his hands. And tonight, you rest in his hands as well. Imagine lying beneath a sky filled with stars. The earth beneath you steady. The air cool and calm. The heavens stretching endlessly above. There is nothing to accomplish. Nothing to prove. Nothing to solve. Only rest. Only stillness. Only peace. The Psalms often lead people to this place. A place where striving begins to fade. A place where trust begins to grow. A place where the soul remembers that God is enough. Enough for today's challenges. Enough for tomorrow's uncertainties. Enough for every season yet to come. The everlasting arms do not grow weary. When you feel tired, they remain strong. When you feel uncertain, they remain steady. When you feel overwhelmed, they remain dependable. There is nowhere you can wander beyond God's care. No valley too deep. No night too dark. No season too complicated. His presence remains. His love remains. His faithfulness remains. And tonight, that faithfulness surrounds you like a warm blanket on a cool evening, like moonlight resting upon still water, like the gentle quiet that settles over the world after midnight. Everything becomes softer. Everything becomes calmer. Everything becomes still. Allow your breathing to slow. Allow your thoughts to drift. Allow your heart to become quiet. There is nothing left to carry right now. Nothing left to prove. Nothing left to solve. Nothing left to fear. Only rest. Only trust. Only the quiet awareness that God is holding you securely. The stars continue shining. The night continues unfolding. The world continues turning beneath God's care. And you are safe within that care. Safe within His wisdom. Safe within His love. Safe within the everlasting arms. If worries return, let them drift away like clouds crossing a peaceful sky. If questions return, place them gently into God's hands once more. If memories return, allow them to pass quietly through the night. Nothing needs your attention right now. Nothing needs your effort right now. Nothing needs your strength right now. This moment belongs to rest. This moment belongs to peace. This moment belongs to God. And as sleep continues drawing closer, allow yourself to settle more deeply into that truth. You are loved. You are known. You are cared for. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not alone. The everlasting arms remain beneath you. The everlasting love remains around you. And the everlasting faithfulness of God remains over you. Tonight, through the night, and into the morning yet to come, rest now. Rest deeply. Rest peacefully. Rest safely. For you are held by the God whose love never fails, and whose everlasting arms never let go. As the night grows quieter, there is less and less that needs your attention. The work of the day is finished. The conversations have ended. The responsibilities can wait until morning. For now, there is only this peaceful moment, this gentle stillness, this quiet rest, this calm awareness that God is near. Many people spend their days carrying invisible burdens, thoughts no one else sees, questions no one else hears, concerns hidden deep within the heart. Sometimes those burdens become so familiar, they begin to feel permanent. Yet tonight, you do not have to hold them so tightly. Imagine opening your hands, not physically perhaps, but within your heart. Imagine releasing the need to carry every concern by yourself. The future, the uncertainties, the unfinished questions. the responsibilities waiting for tomorrow. Place them gently into God's care, one by one, without hurry, without pressure. And as each burden is released, notice how much lighter the heart becomes. Not because every problem disappears, but because you are no longer carrying them alone. The everlasting arms are strong enough to hold what you cannot. Strong enough for unanswered questions. Strong enough for uncertain futures. Strong enough for weary hearts. God has never asked you to be strong every moment. He has never required you to carry every burden by yourself. He has never expected you to navigate every season without His help. His invitation has always been simple. Come and rest. Come and trust. Come and find peace. Imagine a quiet cabin nestled in the woods beneath a star-filled sky. A soft light glowing from within. The night calm around it. The trees standing silently nearby. Everything feels secure. Everything feels protected. Everything feels at peace. That is the image of God's care. Not hurried. Not anxious. Not uncertain. Steady. Reliable. Faithful. The world may feel complicated at times. Life may feel uncertain. Questions may remain unanswered. Yet God's faithfulness remains unchanged. Just as it was yesterday. Just as it will be tomorrow. Just as it is tonight. The stars above continue shining. Many of them have been shining for centuries. Generation after generation has looked upon them. Kings, shepherds, travelers, children, and every generation has discovered the same truth. God remains faithful. Empires rise and fall. Seasons change. Years pass. Lives unfold. Yet God's love remains. His goodness remains. His presence remains. And tonight, that presence surrounds you. Perhaps sleep is already drawing close. Perhaps your thoughts are beginning to drift. Perhaps the words are becoming softer and more distant. That is all right. There's no need to hold on to every sentence. No need to remember every thought. No need to stay awake listening. Simply rest. Allow the peace of this moment to carry you. Allow the stillness of the night to surround you. Allow God's faithful presence to comfort you. The shepherd remains near. The stars remain above. The everlasting arms remain beneath you, holding, supporting, protecting, through every hour of the night, through every dream, through every moment of rest. You are safe. Safe to release the day. Safe to release tomorrow. Safe to release every burden you have carried. Nothing is beyond God's care. Nothing is beyond God's wisdom. Nothing is beyond God's love. And because of that, you can sleep peacefully. You can sleep deeply. You can sleep without fear. The night belongs to God. Tomorrow belongs to God. And you belong to God. So let your breathing become slower. Let your thoughts become quieter. Let your heart become still. The journey can pause here for a while. The striving can pause. The worrying can pause. The planning can pause. For now, there is only rest. Only peace. Only the gentle certainty that God's love is holding you securely. And as the night continues, May your soul drift deeper into that peace, deeper into that stillness, deeper into that rest. For the everlasting arms are beneath you, the everlasting love surrounds you, and the everlasting faithfulness of God watches over you. Tonight, through the night, and into the beautiful morning that will one day arrive. Sleep peacefully now. You are safe. You are loved. And you are held. The night is very quiet now. The stars continue shining above. The earth continues its gentle journey. And all around you, there is stillness. Nothing needs your attention right now. Nothing needs your effort. Nothing needs your strength. This moment is for rest. This moment is for peace. This moment is for simply being held within the love of God. Perhaps sleep is already close. Perhaps your thoughts are drifting more slowly now. Perhaps the concerns that once felt heavy have begun to soften. That is good. There is no need to hold on to them tonight. God is holding them for you. The future is safe in His hands. Tomorrow is safe in His hands. And you are safe in His hands as well. The Psalms often return to simple truths, not because people forget them completely, but because the heart finds peace in hearing them again. God is near. God is faithful. God is good. God is watching over you. The night may be quiet, but His care is active. The world may be sleeping, but His attention never fades. His love never grows tired. His mercy never runs out. His faithfulness never ends. Imagine a calm shoreline beneath the moonlight. Gentle waves reaching the sand, then slowly returning. Again, and again, and again. The rhythm is steady. The rhythm is peaceful. The rhythm is reassuring. God's faithfulness is like that. Constant, reliable, unchanging. The same yesterday. The same today. The same tomorrow. You do not need to wonder whether God will remain faithful. He already has. He already is. And He always will be. Allow that truth to settle deeply within your heart. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not carrying this life alone. The God who created the stars knows your name. The God who formed the oceans knows your story. The God who guides the seasons understands every detail of your life. And He cares. He cares about the things that make you smile. He cares about the things that make you weary. He cares about the things you rarely speak about. Nothing is too small for His attention. Nothing is too complicated for His wisdom. Nothing is too heavy for His strength. Tonight, you can rest in that certainty. You can rest knowing that God's wisdom is greater than your confusion. His strength is greater than your weakness. His peace is greater than your fear. And His love is greater than anything that troubles your heart. The stars continue their silent watch. The night air remains calm. The world rests beneath God's care. And you can rest there too. There is no need to rush. No need to strive. No need to carry tomorrow into this moment. Tomorrow will arrive when it is time. The dawn will come when it is ready. And God's faithfulness will meet you there just as it meets you here tonight. So allow your breathing to become slow and steady. Allow your mind to become quiet. Allow your heart to become peaceful. God is near. You are safe. God is faithful. You are held. God is watching over you. You can rest. The shepherd remains near. The stars remain above. The everlasting arms remain beneath you. Nothing has changed. Nothing needs to change. Everything rests securely within God's care. And so can you. Rest now. Rest deeply. Rest peacefully. Rest without fear. For the love of God surrounds you. The peace of God comforts you. And the faithfulness of God watches over you through every hour of the night. Sleep gently. Sleep peacefully. Sleep securely. You are loved. You are safe. You are held. And God is with you. Now, through the night, and into the beautiful morning that awaits beyond the horizon. Rest well, dear soul. Rest well, for you are forever held in the quiet love of God. The night continues gently around you. Nothing is asking anything from you now. No decisions need to be made. No problems need to be solved. No answers need to be found. The day has done all it can do. Tomorrow will arrive at its own time. And between those two moments, there is this gift. A quiet night. A peaceful heart. A loving God who watches over you. Imagine a small light glowing in the window of a distant home. Warm. Steady. Comforting. Not bright enough to overwhelm the darkness, but bright enough to remind you that you are not alone. God's presence often feels that way. Not loud, not forceful, not demanding, simply present. A steady light during uncertain seasons, a quiet comfort during difficult moments, a faithful companion through every chapter of life. Tonight, that presence is with you, closer than the night air, closer than the stars above, closer than your next breath. There is nowhere you must go to find God's care. You are already within it. You are already surrounded by it. You are already resting inside it. The Psalms often speak of God's love as a refuge. A place where weary hearts can rest. A place where anxious thoughts can become quiet. A place where burdens can finally be set down. And perhaps tonight, your soul has found that refuge. Not because every question has disappeared. Not because every challenge has ended. But because God remains faithful. The stars do not worry about the morning. The rivers do not worry about reaching the sea. The flowers do not worry about tomorrow's sunlight. Creation rests within God's care. And your heart can rest there too. There is a gentle freedom that comes when we stop trying to carry everything. A freedom that comes when we remember that God is God. And we do not need to be. The future does not depend entirely on your strength. The story does not depend entirely on your understanding. The journey does not depend entirely on your effort. God is already at work, already guiding, already providing, already preparing the road ahead. Even when you cannot see it, even when you cannot feel it, even when you do not fully understand it, His faithfulness continues. Like the steady movement of the stars across the heavens, like the gentle rhythm of waves upon the shore, like the certainty of dawn after every night. Faithful, steady, certain. Allow those words to become slower now. Allow your thoughts to become softer. Allow sleep to come naturally. There is nothing left to accomplish tonight. Nothing left to carry. Nothing left to prove. Nothing left to fear. Only rest. Only peace. Only the quiet awareness that you are loved beyond measure. Loved by the God who formed the stars. Loved by the God who created the oceans. Loved by the God who knows every detail of your story. And that love is not fragile. It does not disappear when you struggle. It does not fade when you grow tired. It does not leave when life becomes difficult. It remains, just as it always has, just as it always will. As the hours of the night continue passing, may your sleep become deeper. May your heart become lighter. May your soul become quieter. May peace settle over you like gentle moonlight. May comfort surround you like a warm blanket. May God's presence remain as close as your next breath. The shepherd is near. The stars are shining. The night is peaceful. And you are safe. Safe to rest. Safe to trust. Safe to sleep. For God's love is watching over you. His peace is surrounding you. And His faithfulness is carrying you gently through the night. Rest now, dear soul. Rest deeply. Rest peacefully. Rest completely. For the night is quiet. The shepherd is near. And the love of God will never let you go. Sleep well. Sleep peacefully. And rest in His love. The night is calm. Very calm now. The stars shine quietly above. The earth turns gently beneath the heavens. And all around you, there is peace. You do not need to think about tomorrow. Tomorrow is resting in God's hands. You do not need to carry the future. The future is resting in God's hands. You do not need to hold every answer. God already holds them. And so, you can rest. Rest your thoughts. Rest your worries. Rest your questions. Rest your heart. Imagine yourself lying in a peaceful meadow beneath a sky filled with stars. The grass soft beneath you. The night air gentle and cool. The heavens stretching endlessly above. Everything feels still. Everything feels safe. Everything feels held. No rushing. No striving. No pressure. Only quiet. Only peace. Only rest. The shepherd remains near. Watching. Protecting. Caring. Not because danger is near, but because love is near. Faithful love. Gentle love. Everlasting love. The kind of love that remains through every season. The kind of love that remains through every night. The kind of love that never lets go. As sleep draws closer, let every breath become a reminder. Breathing in, God is near. Breathing out, I can rest. Breathing in, God is faithful. Breathing out, I am safe. Breathing in, God is watching over me. Breathing out, I can sleep peacefully. Again, slowly, gently, quietly. God is near. I can rest. God is faithful. I am safe. God is watching over me. I can sleep peacefully. The stars continue shining. The night continues unfolding. God continues loving you. Nothing has been forgotten. Nothing has been overlooked. Nothing has escaped his care. Everything rests within his wisdom. Everything rests within his love. Everything rests within his hands. And tonight, so do you. The shepherd is near. The waters are still. The stars are bright. Your heart is safe. Your soul is safe. Your future is safe. All within the loving care of God. Now let the words become softer. Let the thoughts become quieter. Let sleep come naturally. There is nowhere else to be. Nothing else to do. No burden left to carry. Only rest. Only peace. Only the quiet love of God. God is near. You are safe. You are loved. You are held. Rest now. Sleep peacefully. Sleep deeply. Sleep securely. For the shepherd watches through the night. The stars shine above you. And the everlasting love of God surrounds you completely. Good night, dear soul. Good night. And may the peace of God carry you gently into deep and restful sleep.